It's been really hard getting this video to take off today. It's taken me like 40 minutes to get to this point, and it's only the beginning. So please like. Welcome to my channel. If you don't know what this channel is about, I live abroad. I live in Asia, and I've been here for a few years, since 2020. I went back for a short break and then I came back again. I am at the park right now. One of the parks in the city that I live, and it's a very nice park. Unfortunately, there's a couple of people around, and it took me forever to set this up. Okay, so to start off, I thought about what I could discuss on my first one, and something that many people automatically ask you is when you tell them that you live abroad, especially in Asia, like, oh, how's your experience here? Like, what's one of the best things about living here? What's one of the worst things about living here? So I decided to make that the topic for today. So I'm gonna talk about the best things, or I should say, what are, wait, let me see, I have notes. Okay, what are the best part about living abroad? And then the next video would be what are the worst parts about living abroad. So best part, let's get into it. Okay, so this segment is called the best part about living abroad. I went into Google because, Google does some things. I was like, let me just type in to see what comes up for the best part about living abroad or Asia. And the top things were improved language, broadening perspective, confidence skyrockets, and learn more about yourself. The other one was experiencing new cultures. I should say the only thing on this list that I think I can approve of is learning more of yourself, learning more about yourself, I should say. The rest, in my opinion, aren't exactly the best part about living abroad. They do come into play as you live abroad, but to say that's the best part about living abroad, I think it's a farce, because if you are someone who actually lives abroad in an Asian country, you know that, number one, improved language. I'm assuming this means like you get to learn new languages. That's not true. Most of the people that I've met here that have been in any of the countries that is in my last video, they don't know how to speak the language, bro. They don't. They know words, okay, like how to say hello, like to talk, express what they want when they're shopping or at the store getting coffee, stuff like that. But to say full conversations, majority of us don't know, and it's not because of lack of trying. Sometimes it's just difficult, and this is something I'm going to talk about in the worst part of living abroad. You don't really often get to socialize with people of the country, and if you do, the ones that do want to, they will want to speak English. So coming from someone who actually tried, okay, broadening your perspective. I think if you actually decide to move from your home country to come live abroad, especially in Asia, you have already accepted the fact that you don't want to stay in the box of whatever the thinking of your country is. You have already decided that there's more, and therefore I want to step out. Yes, it's true, the perspective on things get a little bit wider. You think better about circumstances, but actually I take that back, because some of the people, usually the guys that I've met here, I sometimes think, do you never mind. But so I take back, yes. So broadening your perspective is what should be one of the best things, but I don't see it happening to some of the people who have already decided that they're good the way they are. It's not only Americans, okay? Europeans, same thing. They, again, usually men, right? When I see them here, they just bring their thinking, and that's what they stick with. So I feel like I'm going back on my word, but confidence skyrockets. Okay. I feel like the way someone would imagine this phrase is, oh, you just automatically become 100% all about yourself, and you're centered and you don't care about what rose and what comes. No. My confidence has increased, but not in a I'm better than you kind of way, or not in a it's all about me kind of way. I think I've become more centered. I've the way how I knew myself back home, I've built upon that. So when it comes to that aspect of it, yes, my confidence has increased, but not in a boastful sense. Okay, I'm still the same type of person when it comes to being poised and, small, not in stature, obviously, because I'm small. But I do feel more of myself here than I did back home. And experiencing new cultures, right? Of course, you come into a place that's drastically unlike where you're from. You will be introduced to cultures that is not like your own, so you have to experience it. Now, how you choose to experience it is where some of us differ, right? Like I mentioned, the people who are so set in their thinking and set in their ways of how things are being done, they don't really get to experience the culture. They just glide through it. And there are a lot of those people out here, honestly. So some of the best parts about living abroad aren't even things that you consider while coming here. And it just kind of happens. And until you really sit and think about it, you're like, oh wow, this is great. For example, one of the things I appreciate about living abroad is the quiet. Okay. Even though I'm in a what you would call a smaller city, but when I was in the bigger cities in this country and the other countries that I have been to, there was still a separation, right? You could go to a particular area even when it's just be boom, 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 pow, pow, pow all the time, or you can just walk down the other street and you get quiet and calm. And to me, that's something I cherish a lot because my personality is outgoing, but at the same time, I want to just be silent, physically and emotionally, spiritually, all the least combined together. So being able to do that for me was very, very important. Again, I didn't recognize it until I sat and thought about it. And the quietness also is not just in partying or stuff like that. No, it's the fact that I can walk around to places which I love doing. I could just sit outside of my apartment. Now, the loudness doesn't necessarily often come from people. It comes from like cars or motorbikes or stuff like that. So yeah, I love the quietness from here. I know back home, yes, the neighborhood is quiet, but once you get out of the neighborhood, it just becomes like there's so much noise, right? Noise from people, noise from work, noise from your inner self, because you have so many things that are going on and you have to think about, right? So I love the quietness, and when I say quietness, mentally, I'm not always in a rush. Personally, I feel like I can slow down if I want to. There's an option. Back home, there wasn't really an option for most people. For me, I had some options, right? I could if I wanted to, because of how I am personally. But in a general sense, I know back home is not sometimes not an option for people to just be still. There's something going on. There's something you have to do or something you must do. So I enjoy that here. Something else I enjoy, the food. Okay, let me rephrase. The access to the foods that are good for you, because there's not there's not always the I feel like it's turning into worse and bad together, and that's not my intent. I feel like there's not all the foods that I want, which coming from the States, it's a good thing because some of the foods that we have access to are not necessarily good for us. But here I can actually eat food that are good. When I'm talking about vegetable and fruit specifically, they are everywhere because there's moms and pop shops along the streets or next to big stores that you can buy vegetables and fruits from. And I'm heavy on that. Even from back home, I love supporting smaller vendors and businesses. So I love that, the food aspect. Now back in the States where everything is expensive, I think people are thinking about this. But before, that wasn't something that was focused on. When it comes to food, people are like, oh, I'm going to taste awesome food in Thailand. I'm going to taste like, Korean food, or eating the kimchi and whatever. It was from the sense of the popular food. I just want to see how it tastes like. But now when people are traveling or when people think about other countries, they're like, wow, it's cheaper. Okay, and that's something I've always known since I've been here. Okay, so the quietness, both mentally, physically, the food, eating good food, as in healthy food. Another thing I think is good, I agree with what's on the list. You get to know yourself better. But this last part is only true if the person wants to. Because I have met a handful of people here who don't really want to know themselves. They just want to come and have a good time for however long they're here and go back. It's not about self-improvement internally. So it doesn't apply to them. They come here and leave the same way or in a worse way than before, but to each their own. Um, yeah, so those are the top three things. Of course, there are other things that wasn't on the list and that I didn't say, like better money management. Actually, no, okay, not money management because that's a skill that you need to learn regardless of where you are. But I would say living expenses. Yes, it's better. It's excuse me, it's comparable to your salary or whatever you might be making. If you're making money from back home, of course, it will be exponentially greater. If you're making money per the standard of the country, it's still better as a single person. You get enough. All right. So you get to do more things, right? You get to travel more if you choose to. You get to buy more things if that's what you're into. You get to do other little small activities if you want to. You get to just buy food and whatever else without thinking about, oh, do I have money in my bank? Because you have it, right? And it's easier in that way. You don't do too much mental gymnastics before you treat yourself. So yeah. I mean, I think as I go on with this channel, I was trying to incorporate more awesome things about living abroad. And if you have questions about that, or if you heard something that you thought was, oh wow, this is amazing that you get to experience or do this while you live abroad, and I didn't mention it, please write a comment asking me, and I will gladly go over that if it applies to me. I just want to say though, my approach to life generally is mellow. I don't try to do too much. Interpret that however you will. So when people who even live here as long as I have and they're talking about certain things, sometimes I don't relate because I'm like, I don't put myself in those positions. Okay, so I get what they're saying, but it's not applicable to me. But send your questions and I will gladly answer them. Okay, so that's it for today. This video on the best parts about living abroad / in Asia. Next video will be on the worst parts about living in Asia. I feel like I will have more to say on that because sometimes it's always more about the bad than the good, because you feel the good, you go through the good, you experience it. It's not something that you often think about, versus the worst, you actually feel it in your bones and you get to complain about it. So yeah, next video is for that. Thank you for being here. If you liked this video, if you enjoyed it, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe. Help your girl out. But if you don't want to feel obviously some pressure, watch whenever you can. Pass it on to someone else if you thought it was helpful. If it's not, give me tips. I'm just starting out, so yeah. Also, I've been shifting my eyes because again I'm at the park, so people are watching me and stuff. So sorry. Thank you for being here. Shit.